Have you ever felt like life was deliberately working against you? Like no matter how hard you tried, the universe kept saying, "Not today." I remember standing outside my mother's apartment at 3 a.m., watching paramedics rush in as neighbors whispered about another overdose. I was 12 years old. My father was already in prison, where he would later die. And in that moment, I had a choice that would define everything that followed. But here's what most people miss about moments like these. I'm Charles Hunt, and what I learned from growing up in the projects of Oakland isn't just a story of survival. It's a blueprint for transforming your greatest pain into your greatest power. In the next 18 minutes, I'm going to share exactly how trauma became my teacher instead of my prison sentence. The perspective shifts I'm about to share have helped thousands of people redefine their relationship with adversity. And by the end of this talk, you'll have a completely new understanding of what resilience actually is and how to build it, even when it feels like you have nothing left. Let me start with something that might surprise you. Resilience isn't what most people think it is. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's not about never falling down. Resilience is the capacity to adapt to negative change and recover from it quickly. It's about how fast you get back up, not whether you fall. When I was growing up in Oakland, I didn't know that word, resilience. I didn't understand the psychological research behind it. What I did have was what I now call irrational hope. This stubborn, almost ridiculous belief that tomorrow could be better than today, even when all evidence pointed to the contrary. Let me take you back to our apartment in the projects. The electricity would get cut off regularly. We'd use candles for light, and I'd try to do my homework before the sun went down. My mother's addiction meant that food wasn't a guarantee. But here's the difference maker. I refused to believe this was my permanent story. In just a few minutes, I'm going to share the exact mental shift that allowed me to transform my circumstances. The same technique that's helped executives at Fortune 500 companies overcome seemingly impossible business challenges. But first, let me show you why most people get stuck in their trauma. You see, our beliefs impact our feelings. Our feelings influence our thoughts. And our thoughts determine how we act. This chain reaction is happening, whether we're conscious of it or not. When trauma happens, most people make a critical mistake. They move from "I experienced something terrible" to "I am defined by something terrible." They shift from "I was a victim" to "I am a victim." Do you see the difference? One is an event that happened. The other is an identity you carry. This subtle shift in language creates a massive shift in power. And this is where transformation actually happens. When my father died in prison, I had two options. I could believe that his fate indicated something about my future, or I could see it as information that I could use to make different choices. I remember sitting at his funeral, looking around at men who had followed similar paths. And I made a decision. This is not my path. This is not my story. That decision wasn't made from a place of strength. I was terrified. I was angry. I was heartbroken. But resilience isn't about feeling strong. It's about taking the next step even when you don't feel strong. And that's what I want you to understand today. Your trauma doesn't have to be your life sentence. Your past pain doesn't have to dictate your future potential. Stay with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the three perspective shifts that took me from project housing to college graduation, from poverty to corporate success, from limitation to possibility, and they can do the same for you, regardless of what you're facing right now. The first perspective shift is understanding the difference between acknowledgement and identity. Many of you have messaged me asking, "Charles, how do I stop feeling like a victim?" The answer isn't to deny what happened to you. The answer is to acknowledge it without allowing it to become who you are. Let me share a story that illustrates this. When I was in high school, a teacher pulled me aside after I'd failed a test. I expected a lecture. Instead, she asked me a question that changed everything. "Do you know the difference between failing and being a failure?" I didn't understand then, but I do now. Failing is an event. Being a failure is an identity. One you can learn from, the other you carry forever. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just positive thinking. This is neurologically sound. When we identify as our trauma, we strengthen neural pathways that keep us trapped in those experiences. When we acknowledge our trauma but separate it from our identity, we create new pathways that allow for growth. I want you to try something right now. Think about a challenge you're facing. Now, notice how you describe it to yourself. Are you saying, "I am broken," or "I am experiencing something difficult"? The first locks you in place. The second gives you room to move. Your story matters. But you are not just your story. You are also the author who can write what happens next. The second perspective shift is recognizing that resilience sometimes requires partnership. There's a myth that resilient people do it all alone. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous. When I was trying to get to college, I hit a wall. I didn't know how to apply for financial aid. I didn't understand the admissions process. My mother couldn't help me. And for weeks, I tried to figure it out alone because I thought asking for help meant I wasn't resilient enough. In a moment, I'll share the unexpected conversation that completely changed my trajectory and taught me a lesson about resilience that most success gurus never talk about. This insight alone has helped countless clients break through their most stubborn barriers. True resilience isn't about never needing help. It's about having the courage to ask for it when you do. I finally swallowed my pride and asked my school counselor for help. She not only helped me with applications, but connected me with resources I didn't know existed. She became a partner in my resilience. And this is where transformation actually happens, when we understand that resilience isn't a solo sport. Sometimes the most resilient thing you can do is admit, "I'm tired. I'm weak right now. I need help." The third perspective shift, and this is perhaps the most powerful, is finding purpose in your pain. When trauma has no meaning, it just remains trauma. But when we can extract purpose from our pain, everything changes. For years, I felt shame about my childhood. I hid my background when I entered the corporate world. I was afraid people would judge me if they knew where I came from. But the difference maker is this. When I finally started sharing my story, something remarkable happened. People would come up to me after presentations and say, "Your story gave me hope for my situation," or "I've been facing something similar, and hearing how you navigated it helped me see a way forward." Your deepest pain, when transformed, becomes your greatest gift to others who are still in that darkness. This doesn't mean we should be grateful for trauma. I'm not suggesting you send a thank you note to people who hurt you. But it does mean that we can extract meaning and purpose from even our most painful experiences. I'm curious. What painful experience in your life might actually hold purpose you haven't yet discovered? What wisdom have you gained through adversity that could help someone else? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. So where do we go from here? How do we apply these perspective shifts to build resilience in our daily lives? If you found value in what I've shared today, hit that like button. It helps others find this message who might need it right now. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward, using adversity as fuel for growth rather than a reason to shrink. I went from project housing to college graduation, from watching my mother struggle with addiction to building a life of purpose and impact, from having a father die in prison to becoming a father who is present and engaged. Not because I'm special, not because I'm uniquely talented, but because I understood that perspective gives us power, that resilience can be partnered, and that pain can be purposeful. Here's your assignment. This week, identify one challenge you're facing and deliberately reframe how you talk about it. Move from identity language to experience language. Notice how this small shift creates space for new possibilities. And if you want to go deeper into building daily resilience habits, my next video will reveal the 5 daily habits that build unbreakable resilience, including the morning ritual that transformed my mindset in just 14 days. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Remember, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become because of what happened to you. And that choice, that perspective, gives you power that no circumstance can take away. Thank you.